DJI Mavic 3 Classic. Is the DJI Air 3S doomed? Got that coming up next. Bill the Drone Reviewer here. If you like the content of this video or anything on my channel, make sure you hit the subscribe button and ring the notification bell so you don't miss any future content. With that, let's begin. The other night I hosted Rotor Talk Live and was joined by Mr. Marcus Crawford and Mr. Ron Braun. We spent the better part of the evening discussing the DJI Mavic 3 Classic, its release, and whether or not there will be a DJI Air 3S. So without any further ado, let's roll that clip in its entirety. Well, we all know that the Mavic 3 Classic is coming out next week, and
the 27th
on the 27th, and for $1,399, $1,400. But I saw some things on some forums today and some groups, and I wanted to talk about this with you guys, and I wanted to get your input on this. Okay, is it really the DJI Air 3S? Okay, is this something that is DJI just going to say goodbye to the Air series? And because with this Mavic 3 Classic, okay, and both of you know, and I'm sure you're on board with this, okay, that camera is really what could be on an Air 3S. And I want to hear your thoughts.
I believe you're right, Bill. I think that there isn't going to be an Air 3, and there's precedent, right? Because remember, after the original DJI Air, they just kind of let it fall by the wayside, and we had the Mavic 2 Zoom and Pro, then the Air 2 was a big surprise when they announced an Air 2, right? And,
it was.
So I think they could easily just let it fall by the wayside.
Yeah, and I want to back up what Marcus is saying. When this Classic 3 releases or whatever, I think it'll do very well. At that point, I think the Air series can go into mothballs again for another year and a half before they reinvent it. By that time, they'll probably have some kind of a technology they can add to it that'll give it a leg up even on the Mavic 3 series. Because Mark, remember when the Air 2 came out, especially the Air 2S, it had a leg up on the Mavic 2 Pro series because it had the 60 frames per second and 4K. It had a couple things that made it a little more
in the digital zoom, remember, Ron?
Yeah. So it had a few things that made it more desirable. So I think, Marcus, like you said, they'll table that Air 3 for a while until they can put a few things into it that kind of give it a leg up on the Mavic 3 series.
Okay, Lon says Mavic 3 Classic is a Mavic 3 Classic. The Air 3 will have a vertical camera, 1-inch sensor, and variable aperture.
Could be. Yeah.
That's food for thought. I'm glad, Lon, you're contributing to this. This is great.
And the variable aperture, of course, is already on hopefully it's on the Mavic 3 Classic. It's already on the Mavic 3.
Hey, listen, you guys. I know better than to tell Lon he's wrong.
Yeah. And I don't know how big of a hit that the vertical camera is on the Mini 3 Pro. I mean, I know it gets a lot of talk. I don't know, I don't know how used it really is, but let's go with Lon's theory, guys. Say that drone comes out, in the next 6 months, Mavic Air 3 with variable aperture and the vertical video. Now, who's jumping in line to get that drone? Are you, Marcus, Bill? Are you stand in line to get that
number
thing?
One, the vertical videos, I can already do that in the Mini 3 Pro. Okay.
Yeah.
So if that's an appeal for me, that's going to be a moot point. It's going to have something on it that the current Air series doesn't have, and that the Mavic 3 series doesn't have. Okay?
And that vertical video, that's fine. It's coming from the Mini 3. How big of a sensor do you need for something you just post on TikTok and Instagram?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let me ask you guys a quick question here. And I realize that we're all three old boomers. We're not the generation. However, with the Mini 3 Pro, other than just trying it to see if it works, have you ever used the vertical video for anything?
No, I've taken a picture or two with the vertical. I've used it more for photos than I have video, Marcus.
Well,
Yeah,
okay, I'll buy that, Ron. So, for instance, if you're looking at a tall, skinny structure or something, I could see where that would that you could use it. But that the use case is pretty thin, isn't it? And at least for me, and I mean,
I
I'm
will
sure
not run out and buy an Air 3 because it adds vertical video to it. It's got to bring something more to the table.
Yeah.
Well, keep in mind too, and this is before you guys join me, we talked about the Air 2S, with the DJI-RC coming out, which I'm saying it's going to be imminent. It's just something that's going to happen. And, and I'm thinking it's going to happen before November hits. That's going to keep interest in the Air series.
I've lost track. Which drone, Bill, are you talking about now?
The Air 2S with the DJI-RC bundle.
Oh yeah. Hey, and to answer Brad Henderson's question real quick, you have up on the chat here, Brad. That would be the next consumer drone. That will be the Mini 3 SE. Mini 3 SE.
SE, yes, I agree.
Another good comment is Geeksvana is talking. He's saying that 30% of his production clients are asking for vertical video. So there you go. Just because it's nothing that is important to us doesn't mean that it's not important to a big audience out there.
And welcome, Sean. Thank you for stopping in today. And that's a good point. It's DJI is going where the money is, and that's a good thing that Lon raised that point as well too. Because for us, thank you, Bob Dempsey, for the Old Farts group. We're all part of that. We're not the TikTok generation. We're not I use Instagram, but I use it to help more convey messages. I don't really use it I put pictures out there, but I use it to, get people, to look at the channel and those kind of things, and the only other vertical video I even think about using is I do YouTube Shorts because. And if you guys know, YouTube Shorts are now monetized. Okay, they weren't earlier, and I'm going to get back and I'm going to start doing some of them because they're monetized. I mean, it's like, why not? I've gotten some views with them. I did some tests with it. I'm going to go back. I'm going to just do some because little snippets of information, a little snip of a flight, get you some views, which will always help drive traffic to the channel, which is a good thing. So the vertical video is not. Normally for us three, that's not a part of our workflow. Okay. We don't really, unless we're like flying downtown and taking pictures of tall buildings or tall structures, vertical video isn't really, our bag kind of a thing.
Yeah. Well, Matty is making a point. He says the Air 2S will be relevant for a while, and I think it will. I will still say to this day, the Air 2S is the second best consumer drone that I own. The only one that's better is the Mavic 3. So yeah, it is a very capable product. It is not even close to being obsolete, not even close. But there's a lot of people here that are making good points. Mark White is talking about real estate, advertising companies. If they're on Facebook, they're using vertical video. Those are all great points.
Yeah, but again, we don't know how big of DJI's market for consumer drones is the what we'll call them the enterprise, the pro market. I know for a company like Apple, people used to get an Apple because they didn't make enough enterprise stuff, but they were such a small smidgen of their customers that they didn't cater releases around to them. And I don't know how important it is for DJI to cater. I know they have their enterprise series drones, but to cater their consumer drones around the needs of the enterprise market. I don't know those numbers. We'll never know those numbers. They're a private company.
Puts out a good comment here. There's no way DJI is going to pass up a consumer drone release in the spring or summer, and I agree with him 100%.
Well, that could easily be a Mini 4. DJI, no drone gets released faster than the Mini series.
Yeah,
right,
they get them. Ron, that's a great point because they've been cranking them out left and right. Okay, notice how long it took to go from the Mavic 2 Zoom and Pro to the Mavic 3. That was out almost 4 years. Okay, that was a long time. These mini drones, okay, it's like no more than a year.
And Bill, remember, a lot of those people are still flying the Mavic 2 Pro because they held off on the Mavic 3 because of the price. Well, they'll be getting off the fence now. Next week when
that's another good point
Classic
that I
comes out.
wanted to ask you guys. Okay, who do you think are going to be the potential buyers for the Mavic 3 Classic? Okay,
Well, number one, people are still on the fence with flying the Mavic 2 Pro because of the price, and people with the Air 2S want to upgrade.
Yeah, that's true, Ron. That's a great point. And I would say that there are probably some people that, boy, they really wanted that Mavic 3 when it came out, and now all of a sudden there's an affordable version, and they'll probably get on it. Now, how big of a market is that? I don't know, but $1,400 for a Micro Four Thirds, that Micro Four Thirds camera, and let's face it, Ron, 99% of the time we're on the Micro Four Thirds camera with the Mavic 3, not the telephoto.
Right.
The upper camera.
Right.
So yeah,
Exactly.
I mean, I think there's definitely a market out there, and they'll sell a lot. Will it sell like the Air 2S or the Mini? Certainly not, but I'm sure.
I use the Explorer mode on the Mavic 3 more than I ever did, basically because they made a lot of firmware upgrades over the course of the summer that made it a much more interesting setup now.
I agree with you, Ron, and I do as well, and usually just to peek out and see what's out there, right? However, if that drone didn't have that telephoto top camera, it'd still be the best drone that I own by a good margin.
Right.
So.
But when you're exploring around, that comes in real handy.
It does.
Mm-hmm. Now, Sean really nailed it with his comment here. We never see what's coming from DJI until they tell us what we want. Marcus is always, that's another thing. Marcus always says the research is impeccable and always spots the market gap. Spot on, Sean. They are the Jedi masters in marketing. I mean, they really, and I said this before you guys joined me. Okay. The golden ticket and the DJI store days or whatever they call them. Okay. We all kind of laughed, and with good reason, because, there was really nothing on sale, but that probably wasn't their point behind this. Okay. Their point was to drive traffic to the website. Okay. Which they did. All right. And they know that, it's going to, people are it's they work on them. Okay. It works on people, especially people who are on the bubble. Somebody with a Mavic 2 Pro wanted to consider upgrading, and then boom, the Mavic 3 Classic is going to hit. Or, these people on the fence about having a Mini and wanting to upgrade to maybe an Air 2S or something like this. Yeah. And they see things, and then boom, they're really smart. They really
but were they smart when they knew people wanted, or maybe they didn't know people wanted a mini drone with a better camera, and they all beat them to the punch with the Nano Plus with a high resolution camera.
Sort of. and listen, the reason I'm saying that, and in all seriousness, really for the first 3 or 4 months or even more that drone was out, the camera had the shakes in it and stuff. It just wasn't. It wasn't a viable product.
Actually, we'll go all the way back to the Zito Mini Pro release. Even though that was a flawed product, when they announced that Mini Pro, and that was only about 6 months after the Mini 2 came out, the spec sheets on that on the Zito Mini 2 Pro was exactly what most consumers want on a mini drone. Wouldn't you agree, Marcus? The better camera.
Oh my goodness!
They had all the stuff that we kind of wanted that the Mini 2 did not have. But I mean, Hubsan, of course, they couldn't deliver on their specs.
They still can't deliver with that poor little drone.
Oh, gosh!
But that was but they laid out that day. That was the blueprint, really. That basically the Mini 3 Pro became.
Yeah.
Well, that's a really good point, Ron, because, we're all, and I know when we talked about this way back when it was coming out, and we used the word if this holds up to what these specs are, okay, it's going to be a game changer. Okay. And unfortunately, it was doomed from the start when they had that preview, that live launch that was just a total disaster, and it just went steadily downhill after that with them. Okay. And because we were all hoping that this could be a drone that really would be good, but it ended up just taking a nosedive.
It ended up becoming the Exo Mini.
Yeah. I mean, really, it just totally the bottom just totally fell out of it. So but here's another question for you guys, and I was thinking about this as well. Okay, you know, we know the Inspire 3 is going to be coming out sometime before the end of the year. Do we see on the horizon that Pocket 3 coming out before Christmas? What do you guys think?
Well, that was on the roadmap that our friend Asila put out at the beginning of the year, and I think he everything on that roadmap has happened so far.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to doubt it, because he's batting, in the playoffs here. He's batting 1,000 so far. Marcus, what do you think?
Well, I was just going to say, Ron, you're looking forward to that, and you've been the guy that's kind of convinced me of the goodness of that Pocket series of cameras. You know, I had the original Pocket and wasn't terribly crazy about it, but you have convinced me of the use case for that camera.
Trinity's comment: the Pocket 3 will be awesome. Well, that's a good question. I mean, we've had the GoPro Hero 11. Now I'm talking; these are action cameras, and that's not an action camera. But just making a point, Action 3, the Insta3 XD, they're all good releases. But are they really upgrade worthy? Will the Pocket 3 break that cycle and really be upgrade worthy if you have the previous model?
Good question. I mean,
that's it. How would we know? I mean,
it's kind of awesome, but will the Pocket 3 will be awesome, but will it be awesome to upgrade if you have a perfectly working Pocket 2?
Okay, a good example of that is the difference between the Action 2 and the Action 3. Really, it's the same camera. It's just form factor. Really, that's the difference between those two cameras is form factor. So yeah.
I mean, Trinity says it's going to get the 1-inch sensor. Well, we heard the Hero 11 was going to get the 1-inch sensor.
Question of the day: will there be a DJI Air 3S? Let me know in the comments section below. Thanks so much for watching, and remember, it's a great day to fly.